Hello everybody, how are you? Today I'm back here with another video again today. This time we're going to be talking about, to start the decade off of 2020 with new content, we're going to be talking about how Kong can defeat Godzilla in 2020. Not necessarily how he can defeat him, I guess, but more of how he could rack up to Godzilla, and we'll mention possible ways that he could possibly win. This video, I want to say, I will be taking some of the information from the Birth of Kong, or Skull Island, the Birth of Kong comic books series, and obviously Kong Skull Island. Also some other video and sources, especially a few videos from King Kong 19100. He has a couple really good videos that go in depth on predicaments and stuff like that he believes will go into increasing Kong's chances in this fight in 2020. And so yeah, we're going to discuss this right here. Obviously no spoilers for Godzilla versus Kong 2020. So basically, yeah, let's just begin this video off. First big thing that really gives Kong an advantage here is something that's mentioned specifically, I believe for a reason, in the Birth of Kong comic books. It is mentioned how Kong is basically the strongest of his species. I don't believe it's directly stated he is, but they basically talk about how he's almost invincible. Clearly that's not necessarily true, but that's their way of describing him. And out of all the members of the species, he's seems to be the only one that's kind of depicted as invincible, like a god, and therefore he seems like he's going to be the strongest of the species. Now, it's the main thing about species racking up to, you know, Godzilla or any other titans. We don't know yet, but that's just a first key point that is definitely a fact, that it seems as if he's going to be the strongest of the species. Well, where do you go from there? You know, in Kong Skull Island, he is a little over 100 feet, 104 I believe to be exact, and I think 158 metric tons. Well, if we do some calculation work and such, basically with the Kong Skull Island comic books as well, we do find out by the 1990s he will indeed have grown to about 200 feet, maybe a little over that. There's a really good face comparison of him standing next to humans that are around the same height in Kong Skull Island. So 20 years prior, then 20 years later, and he definitely seems like he's doubled in size. So it's definitely easy to predict that he will be doubled in size by the time that Godzilla vs. Kong comes around. This definitely puts him around 300 to 350 feet. And if we go based off the leaked footage, he definitely appears to be around Godzilla's height. He's definitely going to be bigger than the female Muta, which has so far been one of the biggest titans we've seen in the Monsterverse when it comes next to Godzilla. Obviously, I'm not going to say anything about Ghidorah because everything so far has been shorter than Ghidorah. Seems like he'd definitely be around Behemoth's size too. I know Behemoth seemed a lot shorter, but that's just because Godzilla is kind of standing on something. Behemoth is close to Godzilla's height, a little over the female Muta's height. I believe around 2014's height, not the King of the Monsters Godzilla height. And with this all said, based off some stuff, thanks to King Kong 19100's videos, doing some math calculations and stuff that he did, basing a fully grown Rodan and basically putting him at the same height he would put Kong at. He basically put Kong, and he basically measured up Kong to be 60,000 metric tons to 80,000 metric tons, more around 60. Now, whether this would add up or not, I'm not sure. I don't know exactly the scaling, how to necessarily do the mass scaling of an object or something. I know some people have done it and they don't believe most people believe he would only equal up to 10,000 metric tons. So I'm not sure. I do think, since it is a fantasy movie and stuff, it would be leaning more towards 60,000. And with this, he is not no normal ape or gorilla. He is a titan, and it definitely seems as if he should be able to like lift about, at the bare minimum, 6 times his weight, possibly more. And in fact, we have already seen him as a adolescent lift 6 times his weight in Skull Island, with the scene of him lifting a rock over his head and smashing over the skull crawler's head while jumping. It was already calculated that that rock was indeed 6 times his body weight, and he was able to lift it up over his head and jump with it and smash it over the thing's head with ease. And that right there already goes to show that he could definitely lift 6 times his weight easily as an adolescent. Now you got to put that in perspective as he grows, and it is possible that if he is around 60,000 tons, he should be able to easily lift Godzilla and thrash him around a bit. Body weight, I do know from experience, body weight's a little different to lift than something like a rock, because body weight does swift, it does move, it's not very even, it moves oddly around the body. But if Godzilla, if he were around 50,000 tons, for example, Godzilla would be twice his weight, and he would be able to lift Godzilla probably quite easily. I'm sure he'd still be a struggle, but if he could lift up to 6 times his weight, then there you go. I do think Kong will be able to possibly lift Godzilla, or have a moment where he lifts Godzilla or thrash him around. Since it is a movie of Titans and Kaiju fighting, I do think it'll be very likely. We did see Godzilla pick up and toss Ghidorah at one point in the film, who is a little over an extra half of Godzilla's body weight, I believe. He's more around Kaiser Ghidorah, or like Super MG's weight. And we saw Godzilla lift and throw him, but that's for a different video. So it is possible, though, that I do believe we can see Kong throwing and thrashing around Godzilla, especially if his weight does add up with his height. And like I said, we saw in Kong Skull Island that he already is able to lift 6 times his weight. So right there already goes to show that he has great strength to him. Now, with that being said, he also has some other strength feats. He was able to rip the skull crawler's guts out of his body just by ripping out his tongue, digging in deep. I don't know what the measurements are for that just yet. I don't believe that would be quite an easy feat, though, just to rip out just all of the guts and stuff just with one nice strong pull. If you ever took biology class and messed with like a pig's organs or something, you could rip them out, definitely, but it's going to take some force to just do something like that without equipment. It is something that's like really internally attached, and he just casually ripped all the guts out with one swift move and didn't seem to struggle with it too much either. He seemed like he did it kind of swiftly too. Now, with all that being said, we can say that Kong safely, especially with the leaked footage in hand now, Kong will definitely be around Godzilla's height. He probably, with all of his muscle and stuff, be pretty well weighted, be strong enough to thrash around or throw around Godzilla in this film. Now, what about for speed and stuff? In Kong Skull Island, I could not get a good shot of this, per se, of like how fast the helicopters were going. But with me not being an expert in this field, I do believe a lot of the helicopters used in the film were, I think, UH1 Hueys, or however they're called. And these helicopters can go up to 127 miles per hour. Now, if they were going that fast, I doubt it. But we do see quite a few shots where they're going quite quickly. It's very clear that they're making distance really quick when fighting Kong. We see one shot where Kong is able to chase after one, and it seems like he's running close to the same speed of it. They're not side by side. The helicopter kind of moves off camera, but just going based off how quick the helicopter is moving, definitely seems Kong as an adolescent was quick enough to almost keep up with it, and then he was quick enough and smart enough to react to jump when the helicopter is almost right in front of him. And as massive he, as massive as he is compared to the helicopters, was able to quickly react and jump over top of two different helicopters that were moving very fast onto him, so they collided. Not only was that a smartness feat, but that showed how quick he moved for someone his size with helicopters that can move up to 127 miles per hour. Not that they were moving that speed, but they potentially could, and I believe they were definitely moving at pretty high speeds towards him. He was able to just casually jump over them quick enough with all his massive body so that they weren't able to touch him. Again, I don't know if there's any good measurements on this. If they are, please provide them with me. But I would say in the film, that's a pretty good feat right there of him just being able to move quickly and swiftly enough to be able to just jump over top of these helicopters that can move up to 127 miles per hour. Therefore, evading them. And I think right there goes to show that something such as atomic breath, he would be able to, especially once he picks up on it, would be able to evade and move. But that's a different. That we're going to save that for later. Now, if we're talking about pure durability or something, he has shown durability feats as an adolescent. A lot of people would use something that's like the helicopter propeller, but again, he doesn't have a very thick hide. You know, he is still an adolescent, and we don't even see a lot of the bullets really extremely affect him. We don't see too many holes. There are a few shots of like some holes in his arm and stuff, but a lot of the things such as the propeller and stuff do kind of penetrate him. We don't see anything too major happen to him. Even with his fight with Skullcrawler, we don't see too major of wounds affect him. Only the few. He was able to fight against the Meyer Squid, which actually is pretty powerful, as it is able to shred its opponent or its prey while it moves around them, and it has bone-crushing jaws. And yet Kong was able to seem almost unbothered by the Meyer Squid wrapped up onto it, moving around it, and probably trying to shred him. Not only that, but we see his foot get absorbed with the actual, like, the squid's acid ink. I've completely forgot the name, but the ink from the squid clearly absorbs his foot, and this is known to be hot enough to just burn the water around it. So with all that, we show right there that Kong could take high temperatures and high, like, acid-like substances, and he's able to take on a creature that can, like, shred him apart while fighting. And then he just starts ripping it apart and such. You'll see later on, he can take high temperatures whenever he gets put and covered in napalm. He seems to have very few issues with that. He recovers not too long afterwards. He passes out from oxygen deprivation, as stated in the King Kong 19100s video. Again, a good video. I'll definitely link it for you guys to check out. And he's able to survive the very high temperatures of napalm, consuming him with very little scars and such. The most we see is kind of some scorched fur and such, and some scorched areas of his body, but again, he's able to kind of get up from it not too long afterwards and tired. Napalm is able to reach temperatures of 5,000, and in fact, that's a little over twice as much as the original Burning Godzilla at critical temperature, which was 1,200 degrees Celsius, while napalm can reach temperatures of 2,760 degrees Celsius. And right there goes to show that he's able to withstand pretty high temperatures with very little issue as an adolescent. This, therefore, should be able to make him survive some hits from the atomic breath. Atomic breath, we do not have an exact temperature for. We did see it, unlike the Heisei film, where we have actual confirmed, like, temperatures for. We don't have a confirmed temperature for it. I do not believe I'm not for sure exactly, without too much information, if it is the same temperature as a nuke, but if we went with the fact that it is, which could reach temperatures of like 15 million degrees Fahrenheit, therefore what it did to its opponents, we see it knock out the female Muto temporarily as it pushed her back pretty far, and we see her body become scorched and smoke come off of it in the hot spots with a weakened form of the atomic breath. We don't see his standard atomic breath ever hit Ghidorah, or really anything other than some buildings, which it immediately blows up with its heat and power. We do see a supercharged atomic breath in the film, So it's like his most powerful one we've seen in the Monsterverse so far. It hits Ghidorah, and both times it does, it knocks him extremely far back. The one time even blowing him like completely off Godzilla as he's wrapping around him and like completely far back. And we don't see what it really does effects wise on Ghidorah in terms of like what it does on his external body, but we do see both the weaker versions able to completely decapitate the female Muto with its extreme heat. So we see it burn off her head if you get a better version of the film, and it's able to completely disintegrate Ghidorah's body as Godzilla's starting to eat on it, and then blows his atomic breath from the inside. It's able to completely blow away Ghidorah's body, which we see earlier in the film. Ghidorah was able to take shots from the atomic breath with very little effect on him other than knocking him back and kind of tiring him out, knocking him over. Now, we don't know if it's standard one or if he's going to use a supercharged one in this film, but if we go based off stuff like this, I believe if it hits Kong, a similar thing's going to happen where it's going to knock him back, possibly knock him out for temporarily, and then he'll get back up and get back in the fight. I do believe, since it was hot enough, even in its weakened form, to knock out the female Muto, a creature that evolved for generations and years and literally fed on the inside of a Godzilla species to survive. I do definitely believe that a weakened version of it was able to knock her out temporarily and stuff. It is very hot and powerful, and it's probably going to be able to do some damage to Kong, but I don't think it would be able to kill him. At least not on just a couple shots. Every time we see it kill something, it has to go internally. Most of the creatures in Monsterverse have survived external shots from the atomic breath, and I don't believe it's going to be very easy to get it internally into Kong, as with something like the Muto or Ghidorah. So, with that all said, I do think the atomic breath is something that Kong will be able to survive. I do think he'll be able to take a lot of shots. We have seen him take some feats of surviving heavy heat, massive heat, without dying or taking too much damage, and I do believe it will all play out the same here. And with all said, what's left for him? I do believe he's very smart, as clearly shown. He probably has way more intelligence than Godzilla. Godzilla in King of the Monsters was revealed as to be like a character with his own intelligence, as we see his emotions, as he comes to a realization that the humans that nearly killed him saved him and stuff. But Kong is on a completely different level. We see him emotionally connect with the humans, and we see him do stuff such as taking the propellers that he learned he could use as a weapon, and was able to slice the Skullcrawler's throat open. He was able to take a tree and use it as like a bat. He used a rock, smashed over the Skullcrawler's head, and he realized that a human fell into the water and was smart enough to hurry up and get the Skullcrawler knocked out long enough for him to save her life. We do see a lot of his smart feats. He definitely seems like he can be protective of humans. We know he protects the Iwi tribe and the other animals, Skull Island. We saw it when he saved the buffaloes. And we see also in the Birth of Kong's comic books, he will interact and show emotional connection with humans, and so he can like intelligently have emotion, and he will even kill something that he finds a threat, such as Samuel Jackson's character in the film. And like I said, we have seen him use weapons smart ways. We have seen him hop around off wall to wall, all of that. I think it is very possible, especially if they fight in city like Hong Kong, or even at his home, he's going to be able to hop around building to building, hitting Godzilla as he jumps off building, kicking him in the face, stuff like that, punching him off a building, throwing him in the buildings, grabbing pieces from buildings, sharp antennas and stuff, and stabbing them in the Godzilla, possibly into one of his gills or something, and hitting Godzilla in some vital weak spots that really hurt him. I think that's where Kong's main effect can come, because a lot of people might not want to think about this, or especially since we're talking about Kong, but we have seen Godzilla affect it pretty bad throughout the Monsterverse with his gills. The Mutos targeted his gills in 2014, and we see him bleed in the film as the Mutos' heavy claws designed to kill him were able to stab into his gills and such as they targeted it and caused blood to gush out and such. Something sharp enough can definitely penetrate his gills. We also saw missiles from the humans able to weaken and hurt his gills and cause him to reel back. We don't know necessarily if he was in pain or not, but it was enough to make him reel back and destroy the Golden Gate Bridge unintentionally, we propose. And with that right there, Kong already has a huge weak spot and a big advantage over Godzilla he could target. If he's able to get in on him, he definitely already has his gills to go after an attack. And we know out of all the creatures in the Monsterverse, Kong probably is the smartest to do such. He's one of the only creatures that ignored Ghidorah's calls. And yeah, we definitely know that Ghidorah is very intelligent, and Kong is probably on the same level as Ghidorah in intelligence. And I do believe he will be able to come up and figure out that, hey, Godzilla has some weak spots, and he'll probably attack stuff like his eyes and stuff. Will he or not? I don't know. It all comes down to the writing team. But Godzilla has been written with weak spots right there. And Kong, we have seen use weapons smart enough to use weapons as such. And right there, he has speed advantage. He has a weight advantage where he's able to pick up heavy stuff. He's smart. He has empathy. He has emotion. I do believe all that's going to come in and factor into this fight. Maybe not give him enough to win. Could possibly give him enough to win. We don't know. But I definitely think it will give him enough to have a bit of an edge in this fight and be able to hold his own for quite a long time, if not win. Whether or not he wins or not, I can't determine. There are some other factors into this too. Could he be at a disadvantage with the fact that with height, gravity could pull down on him? He has to kind of get used to gravity. He can't move as quick possibly. I'm not for sure with him growing if he would not be able to move as quick. We saw Godzilla just go running at like full speed, King of the Monsters, and fairly quickly too. It is possible with Kong basically never ending fighting ever since his birth, always fighting. It is very possible that at a near 300 feet tall, he's already adapted to his height and is able to move quickly. That mostly is a comment for some people that I saw debating about the fact that gravity is going to pull down on him and slow him down. I don't know if it's slow him down or not. We did see Godzilla move very fast, and he's been doing it for millions of years, but we know Kong keeps fighting all the time. He's always fighting. He's always jumping around, moving quickly. It is very possible that he's adapted to any height disadvantages gravity is put on him. And he's probably able to move quite nicely in his environment. We'll find out in the prequel comic book where he fights Kamazot's flying bat god. And I think that will really put in perspective how powerful Kong has become ever since the last time we saw him in the Birth of Kong comic books. With that all being said, I don't know if I have much else to say for this video. I think that puts out some basic facts right there, and I think that puts some statements out that I think Kong does have a chance. I don't think he's weak. He's going to have a thicker hide. He'll be way more durable. He's already shown heat, resistance to heat, and sharp things do definitely hurt him, but he'll definitely have a lot more durability against him. Something such as Godzilla's claws or something, he'll probably be able to withstand a lot more, especially since the fact that we've seen like the Meyer squid not be able to do much to him or anything. It all comes down to the writing team more than anything. Do I think Kong is going to win? I don't know. I think if they want a really entertaining movie for the general audience, not the fans, but the general audience, then Kong will win. If they want like the underdog kind of story, then while it'll be a generic, it'll be probably the best option to let Kong win for entertainment value instead of the person everyone expects to win, Godzilla. Will they do it from a story perspective? We don't know if Godzilla's staying in the Monsterverse or going away. We don't know what's happening afterwards. It could be very possible that Godzilla's gone and Kong's staying, and they're going to want Kong to take over as the new alpha, and this would be a great way to show that. Or they'll do it in some way to where he doesn't look that weak, so he can still have his own franchise without the loss from Godzilla holding him down too much. Again, it all comes down to the writers and what Warner Brothers and the Monsterverse directors and all that wants. I do think Kong will be probably one of Godzilla's toughest challenges and I do think it's quite possible he could be. I know a lot of people don't want to think that, but we're not talking about Peter Jackson's King Kong. We're not talking about the original. We're not even talking about Toho's Kong. This is a new Kong. This is his own Titan. He's his own thing. Yes, people might hate it that they're going to put him in a same tier as Godzilla. But look, guys, it's for entertainment. It's for a purpose. I like having some strong Kongs. You know, Kong is such a kaiju that needs respected, and I really enjoy Kong. Without Kong, I probably would have never even gotten into Godzilla. And me personally, I'm really happy with the fact that they were going to make Kong be something that's not just going to be something that's just like one-shot. I think that's a horrible idea. That would be a horrible movie. I would hate the movie. I don't know if anyone... I mean, there were definitely people who enjoyed it and Kong got one-shotted. So I don't know about you guys. I think Kong's going to have a really good shot in this film. Whether he wins or not, again, can't be determined yet. This all comes down to the writers and stuff. What do you guys... Do you guys want Kong to put up a really good fight? You know, be respectful in the comments. I know this stuff kind of starts war, just like with Star Wars fans and stuff, with how they are. That's not like a jab at anyone, but I'm just saying, you know, communities get crazy over topics like this. Personally, I think Kong should definitely put up a great fight. Guys, just remember, you know, you can get pissy about it wherever you want. This is just its own universe, Kong. You guys can hate the fact Kong's really strong now or whatever. Just know, this isn't the Peter Jackson Kong. This is his own Titan. You know, he's a lot more respectful. He's a lot more powerful. You guys got to understand that it's doing that so we get entertainment out of it. You guys can be mad about all you want, but it's all for entertainment. It's all for fun. We're going to enjoy it. They're going to make money. They're going to possibly make more movies. And we just need to have a good time enjoying it. You know, who knows? Would you guys be mad if Kong puts up a good fight, yet he still loses to Godzilla? I mean, I assume you guys would still be happy as long as Godzilla wins, Kong loses. But I'm just saying, do you guys really think this is the worst way for it to go? I mean, people who really want Kong to get one shot, I just think that's crazy. But that's not really what this video about. I should probably end it because I'm going on a rant. Just be respectful in the comments. I like to see good discussions. Everyone be friendly and stuff. I think it would make for a great and entertaining time. I think you all will enjoy it. Hope everyone has a good day. Happy New Year 2020. We're going to get ready to see two kings clash. I can't wait. I grew up with King Kong vs. Godzilla, so this is going to be a great, fun time for me. And just wait for a great, enjoyable movie. I can't wait to see what happens, no matter who wins. I personally, in my opinion, want Godzilla to win. I can't say I'll be completely pissed off if Kong wins, depending on how they do it. But I think more times than not, Godzilla needs to win. But I do definitely think he can stand a really good chance with this incarnation of Kong and Godzilla. So, really hope you guys enjoyed. Again, friendly discussions, comments below. And, yeah, that's all for now. As always, I hope you enjoyed. If you want a more in-depth video in the future, maybe we'll do more videos like this if I get more calculation stuff. And I'm planning on possibly doing a more in-depth on why Godzilla going in this fight too, possibly. We'll see how that comes. It's not like there's much I have to say. A lot of people already know from the movies how powerful Godzilla is, but yeah. That's all. Please share and subscribe. Thank you all for watching. As always, peace. Be respectful, and have a good decade and a good year. Bye-bye to 2020.